We're going to be talking today about personal branding, and you're going to be using your notebook. So get to a fresh slide and fresh page, that is, and let's get started. So first, I want to just ask you, what is a personal brand? What do we think that is? Is it our LinkedIn page? Is that our brand defined? Is it maybe our page on our website, our executive profile? Is it maybe when you Google my name, what comes up? Is that my personal brand? Or maybe it's when you meet me at an event like ERA here. What am I like? What is my personality? Does it match what I'm posting? Does it seem like the same person? And also, is it a little bit what other people say about me? So this is an easy definition of personal brand here: your distinct identity and reputation within the professional landscape. So today we're not talking about your personal brand for personal life. We're not going to talk about how you can be an influencer in the world of, what Monica's doing is a great example of her professional brand stemmed from a very personal motivation. So the two can really fit together. But anyway, we're talking today about your personal brand, and the word reputation to me kind of makes me laugh, because I think back to like middle school, where you worried about your reputation. What are people saying about me? But there's a little bit of that, right, in our career, and it matters what people say and think about us. And we want to have some control and influence over that, right? We want to steer that. And that's part of why we wanted to talk to you guys about that today. So why is the personal brand important? I want you guys to shout it out. Who has an opinion? Anyone? It's not important? So people trust you? Opportunities, a career growth? Credibility? Teach people how you want to be perceived? Is that what you said? Yeah? What about the long sales cycle? Your personal brand, branding is important even to just get in front of people and be consistent and build relationships over time, right? That's part of personal branding, right? Anything else? What about stereotypes? We've talked a lot about gender stereotypes based on your color, your height, where you went to school maybe, where you live. Being able to control those things. Those are all stereotypes that we want to influence positively. So for today, what we're going to do is define your personal brand, talk about how you can leverage social channels to live your personal brand and get out there. And then I'm going to give you some tools and hacks. So this is very let's get into it, practical session. So we're going to start by defining your personal brand. And this is great because earlier Kelly was up here talking about your values, and you wrote a lot of things down, right? What do you value? How do you want to be perceived as a leader? So we're really just peeling back the onion one layer deeper. So I want you to start on your piece of paper and write my personal brand at the top, or your name, whatever. And then I want you to jot down a few ideas. What makes you great at your job? What makes you unique? What do you want to be known for that's appropriate, right? Not something wildly outside of what you're doing today, but what do you want to be known for? What do you think you should be known for? So jot a few things down there. And a few of you are kind of struggling. Most of you are writing, but a few of you are like, I don't know, thinking about this. You can ask your colleagues. How do you see me? What do you think my strengths are? I think that came up earlier too. Okay. 20 more seconds. Lots of great writing. This is awesome. I think this is a good order of events here. So we talked about your knowledge and your expertise being part of that, but also there's more to your brand. Your affiliations, your clothes, your hobbies. Okay, who here pickleballs? Who are my pickleballers? You are my people. Are we not a tribe? Pickleball, it's a thing. I think tonight on the boat, we could find all the pickleballers and bond for hours. And probably next time we're going to have a pickleball tournament as part of this because of that. That hobby, what does that do? It bonds you to people. Someone mentioned to me earlier today I think I went to one of your other We presentations. I remember something about a fish. And I was like, yeah, you got it. I have a state fishing record. And it's so dumb, but it's so brilliant too, because people remember it. And if you love to fish, I can't even tell you how many men have come up to me at electronics conferences and shown me their fishing pictures. And it's just a way to get to know someone. It's part of my personal brand. So I want you to write down a few other things about your personal brand. Might be more personal. It might be an affiliation, a club, something that you feel will help define you. One of our scholarship recipients to be here today was sitting with me last night, and she was sharing with me that her family is from Guadalajara, and they own a craft tequila distillery. And it was fascinating hearing about the family and all their different labels. And I'm like, okay, if she is my salesperson, I would definitely want to invite her in and get some tequila maybe, or at least talk about tequila. How fun. Way more fun than pickleball, really. But Okay, so we have a good list going. You have an idea of who you are, your personal brand, a good start, right? The next step is to really think about your voice. And this starts with who you are naturally. So I could say that my voice is calm, like Monica's, and it is informative, and she is so cool and collected, but it's not, right? Y'all could see, I get a little hyper, I have a lot of energy, I talk fast, like that's just who I am. So who are you? So write down a couple of things, or who do you want to be that you feel is authentic to you? But as you get out in the world and you're looking to educate, you're looking to have a voice, what is that voice? Is it authoritative? Is it technical? Is it approachable? Is it funny? But if you're not a funny person and you write funny, like, can you live up to that? Right? So it's okay. Like, let's be real, right? Who are you? What is your voice? So write down one or two of these. And if you don't know, then here's a little hack you can do. Go onto your favorite generative AI tool and upload a phone call, a presentation. I could upload a recording of this presentation and say, analyze this presentation and tell me what my voice is. How did I sound? Great little hack there. Okay, so now let's start squirming and use a few people's profile pictures. So we'll go back to Jackie. Okay, so this is Jackie on LinkedIn, and these were 3 recent posts that she put up as I was preparing for this presentation. And so as we start to, the first thing you notice are the images, right? Where your eye is instantly drawn to these images. I see Jackie smiling and her head kind of sideways. It's so cute, draws me right in. And as we read here, we see there's a lot of people tagged. There's a lot of hashtags. And let's read this. We see progress happens one person at a time, and what a fabulous community of members, supporters, and stakeholders we've built together, exclamation mark. Next one, thanks Christine in collaboration with some other people for taking the time to chat with me about systemic change, exclamation mark. I'm sensing a pattern. Look at the third one. I look forward to seeing you all at Electronica, exclamation mark. Nothing wrong with this. This is Jackie. This is part of her. Very authentic Jackie. She probably doesn't even realize she's doing this. Well, she does now. Sorry, Jackie. But what would you say her voice and tone is here? Excited? Inclusive. Yes, she's making a big point of recognizing each person, each organization. There's some things that jumped out at me too. Okay, so Jackie is the representative of this organization, right? So when Jackie is thinking about what to write and what to put out there as a personal brand, it's pretty tied up in the mission statement of this organization. For you, you need to think about what you're going to write about. And you may not be the executive at your company, it doesn't matter. The point is, what can you add value? Where can you add value? What can you put out that's helpful to your customers, your people who you're trying to connect with? So let me give you a few hacks for this. So first is, who are you trying to reach? Like, who is it that you're trying to connect with and influence, and why? The second is, And this is the biggest hack. What is your company already doing? What are the initiatives going on? They're already creating content. How can you add your point of view and then make sure to write it with that target person in mind? Makes sense, right? So those could be campaigns you're running, like product announcements. It could be trade shows happening. It could be technology partnerships, industry trends, you name it. And depending on where you are within your organization, this is going to be different for everybody. And current events, gosh, we're all at an event right now. How easy to take a picture at this event. And there's a couple things we could do with it, right? We could say, hey, it's fun being on a boat with a bunch of women. Boring, fluffy, that's not really a point of view, right? What can we say that's meaningful about this event that ties to what I think about this event and what I think is going to be meaningful to people that I'm trying to reach, right? That's what you're trying to go for, is a point of view that's authentic to you and will resonate with your target audience. So now I want you to write down 7 ideas of things you can post about, of content you can write between now and Thanksgiving. And for you there, Ruth, that's mid-November. So yeah. All right, 7 topics. I already gave you one. You're at the event, so there's one. You only have 6 more to go. What could you write about? I feel like I need to stand next to this guiding value thing right here. We have honor, authenticity, courage, and commitment. And authenticity in particular is important when we think about our personal brand, right? You want to be your true self. So what you're not going to do is steal someone else's content or misrepresent yourself. Has anyone ever stolen your content or your ideas? Let's just say your ideas, stolen them. Okay, yeah, that wasn't fun, right? And so I'm gonna just complain, if y'all don't mind, just real fast. This is the headline of a blog post that one of my team spends so much time on this blog post. And in the blog, it even said, the True Crew, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? A brand new agency of 2 engineers that decided they know marketing decided to start a company recently. And they started stealing all of our content, and they're changing maybe a word. That's it. And misrepresenting their clients to be many of the companies in this room. So I'm not going to tell you who it is. I don't want to, have slander, defamation, or whatever. But I have an attorney over there just in case. We'll talk. But the point is, you know what? I don't need to tell you their name because it'll catch up with them. They're using someone else's content. They're using logos of clients that they don't work with. Trust me, it will catch up with them. And so just like it would, and none of these ladies, y'all wouldn't be here today if you were going to misrepresent yourself. But just, it's a reminder, be your true self. And alongside this, you might ask, can I be my true self but still use ChatGPT? Or still use generative AI? And the answer is absolutely yes. Okay, my business is creating content, and I've struggled with how to explain this and articulate this to people. There's a right way to do it. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you don't like to write, this is a great tool for you, but you need to train it. So we just spent a little bit of time saying, here's my personal brand. Here's what I'm about. Here's my voice. Here's my tone. I even said record a presentation, right? Imagine now you load all of that in to your own ChatGPT and you say, I want to create doppelganger Wendy. And here's your training. In fact, I'm going to give you 10 articles I've written, blog posts, this recording, this presentation. And now with all of this background, now let's start to work together. Okay, here are my last LinkedIn posts, or the ones I'm most proud of. Now I'm going to have you start collaborating with me. So, hey, ChatGPT, I want to write a post on how to be authentic in my personal brand. Load that in and see what it comes up with. It's not going to be perfect, and you're going to need to work with it and hone it and tell it what's wrong. But eventually, you'll get something that is repeatable and not kind of this off-kilter, one-off thing. So these aren't tools that you can just dip into that are really going to represent you well and be authentic, but there is a way to do it. Everything I've described takes a lot of time initially, more time than just writing it yourself. But if you don't enjoy writing, I get it. I think it's a nice tool. Anybody have an experience using those tools for social media that you'd like to share? Okay. Well, hold on to that. We can get there at the end then. Okay, section 2, this is where I start to really pick on people. Let's get social. Now, there's a lot of platforms out there that you could be using, but research overwhelmingly shows us that for our industry in both the US and in Europe, LinkedIn and YouTube are the places to be, and LinkedIn is where we're going to really focus most of our time today. It doesn't mean you can't go off and invest time in Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and other places, but you need to get LinkedIn right for this industry. So until you do that, you may want to, hold off on the others. So where is Carla? Carla. Here's Carla. Carla's my second guinea pig after Jackie. So thank you, Carla, for letting me do this. So what is the first thing you notice on Carla's LinkedIn profile? Okay, professional photo. What about above it? The circuit board, right? Like she's in our industry, like right there. And if you read what Carla does, if you guys don't know Carla, she's the president of a company that does executive search, right? And she has been in the electronics industry for how long? A long time. Long time. So she's not executive search for just anyone. So, hey, so have I, girl. I'm not. She's been in this industry a really long time, but yet she's still making sure that right when you go to her page, that she's connecting with, hey, I'm part of you guys. I'm part of this, even though JJM search doesn't necessarily say electronics in the name or whatever. So then when you scroll a little bit further on her LinkedIn, you see that she has a featured post. And I don't know if you guys have experimented with featured posts, but this is basically where you put something, like you take one of the posts that you shared that you're most proud of, that most represents you, and you just pin it up there. It's so easy to do. And this was a great selection because Carla was part of the panel, and it shows her on video in action, represents her really well from a respected organization. So great choice. And I kind of like the color bars because it drew my eye. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show that I loved was this post of Carla's, and I'm gonna paraphrase here, but it basically says, hey, LinkedIn's for business. Like, I don't see this as a personal thing, but I just had to share this thing. And it talked about how in Nebraska, they broke the record for the most attendees for a women's volleyball game. What a gorgeous picture of that. Carla, how did that post do? Very popular. Probably one of your most popular posts, would you say? Way up there, yeah. And so she's sharing something personal, and you don't do it often. This might be the only time you've done it personal, but it performed really well. So I think debunking the myth that LinkedIn has to be for business only, slip a little bit of humanity in there and show someone another side of you, like the tequila and the fishing record. And just to reinforce that, I pulled all of my posts from Q2. And my top 2 posts were both personal posts. And I probably do 3 or 4 personal posts a year. And they did really well. So people want to see other sides of you than your business self. Okay, other things I found that I thought were great. I found an article with Carla. Again, your digital footprint, just showing her authority and her position within the industry. So getting yourself out there. And then I went to Carla's website, and I found her executive profile, and I found something very interesting, and she and I discussed it. And she has 3 social media accounts. She has Facebook, Twitter, which of course we know now is X, and LinkedIn. And so Carla and I talked about, hey, Carla, I see you led with Facebook. You have Facebook in here. Why did you decide to include Facebook? So if you wouldn't mind, bring the mic over to Carla. I like her to give voice to, she had a wonderful answer of why she did this.
I can't actually remember what I told you, but I can
give it a shot.
I use Facebook for more, definitely more personal. This is who I am.
Yeah.
But I think being in the industry quite a while, people know me as a person. They know, in a lot of cases, I was on boards, and we would bring our 2 boys with us to some of the board meetings, like the EDS board meeting. Yeah. So they knew my boys when they were 8 years old, 10 years old. So now they see my grandchildren up there, and it kind of comes full circle to where I don't post on Facebook when I have jobs that I'm recruiting for, but I guess I feel that part of me when they hire me is they get me completely because I'm
Yeah.
a one-person operation too. So they're not going to work with some junior newbie I just hired last week. So I think I use Facebook for that purpose, and I am friends with a lot of colleagues from the industry on Facebook, not everybody. But I think it just speaks to who I am completely as a person.
Yeah,
So
I love
my
that.
dad is up there. He was in the Navy. He's important to me. You know, he's deceased, but those types of things are what I like to post. So, but I don't really use it for, it's more for personal branding. It's really not for executive search.
Right, right. But it's part of who you are, and you are the company. And I think that's what stuck with me too. Yeah. Now, the other thing that Carla has, and I have the same thing, and I bet a lot of you do, is you created your Twitter accounts and you haven't touched them in a while. And mine is way more dated than yours, Carla. So we're at the point where people are leaving the X platform in droves. And if this platform isn't doing anything for you, having it look outdated isn't the best. So I would say suspend or delete those accounts. We're seeing that more and more. There have been no business ramifications of that. So everybody make your own choice, but that's kind of where things seem to be headed when it comes to X. All right. Next, let's go to Ann Taylor. Hey, Ann. There's Ann. Poor Ann. She's got a bit of an issue, right? And I want you to know that Ann Taylor is now like hounding me, like retargeting me everywhere I go because of me doing this presentation. So she is Ann with an E, and you can see I put Ann with an E, but so it's okay. You know, people find Ann, they just need to add the word Vishay, and then they find Ann. But by the way, Ann, there are some other Ann Taylors with an E that are also quite active in social media, in their digital footprint. So she has a lot of noise competing with her reputationally, and that's just what some of us have, and that's okay. So you can see, who has Googled themselves? Google their names. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's not every hand. Go Google yourself. Like, you need to know what comes up. So this is a good indication of where you're at in your own brand marketing, getting yourself out there is what does Google find? And sometimes it finds really old stuff. So that part's really interesting too. So anyway, I found a great quote on her company that served from her company website. She was recently, or a while back, on a video podcast, so that's great. And Ann, I want you to know that you're in good company because I share a name with a famous actress that you might recognize. And I used to like be neck and neck with her. She was Reno 911, and I like had her beat on Google. And the Bridesmaids came out, and then the Goldbergs, and then forget about it. Okay, moving on. Allison, is Allison in the room? She's not here. Okay, darn. Okay. Well, Allison, as you can see, is president and CEO of Galco. And for Allison, I wanted to show you guys a contrast of different types of posting. So the first one is how the company is posting. So I went through a ton of their posts, and there's basically two themes. Here's some products, and here's some trade shows. So that was just all about us. You know, Galco's here, Galco's there. I didn't even see maybe a little bit of partnership stuff, but it was mainly like all about them. Then I found other employees posting. So this is Bob Marshall. He's the vice president of product distribution. And you can see there's a lot of reposting. A lot of times he reposts, but he doesn't say anything. So it's just like, you know, we're going to be at a trade show and like, here you go, you know, show my network. That's really not the way to do it, right? You need to add your point of view. You need to add value, add context. Whoa, don't know how I did that. So here in contrast is Allison, and you can see that she has a diversity of types of posts. So some, you know, this second one I love because she's going to a trade show, but instead of the logo of their trade show, and we're going to be there, it's a photo of her and the other people going to the show with her, and it's so great being there as a team. So a lot of teamwork, warm and fuzzy. So she just does a great job of recognizing people, you know, having all sorts of different posts. But then because she is a thought leader for her organization, she publishes monthly LinkedIn articles. And I didn't get a chance to talk to Allison ahead of time. She probably has a marketing team supporting her, helping her with this, maybe ghostwriting these articles, I don't know. Some of you have a marketing team that can help you do this, some of you don't. But again, going back to, you can grab marketing content that you can at least share. But what I like about this strategy is writing an article on LinkedIn versus on your company's blog post will do better in LinkedIn on the algorithm. So you're seeing more and more of content that's originated in LinkedIn for that reason. And then you can subscribe to these. And so oftentimes, if y'all notice, like you'll get a new friend request and you'll say yes, and then, or connection request on LinkedIn, and then right away it'll say, subscribe to my blah. You know, whatever that is, that's something that they're producing on LinkedIn, and then they have some automation. So anyway, that's what she is going on. And I was hoping to have her tell us how it's going, and I suspect quite well. These are newsletters like this are doing well, articles are doing well because LinkedIn is heavily promoting them because they want to keep you on their platform. Okay, last one in this section is Jessica. I know Jessica's here. She just won an award. Hey, Jessica. All right, another beautiful circuit board. So again, connection with the industry. Vice President of Sales for Americas. So Jessica is another thought leader for her company, someone who's doing a lot to put her personal brand out there and represent her company. So how many of you have ChatGPT'd yourself? Oh, wow, okay, not many. Well, Allison hadn't either. I'm sorry, Jessica hadn't either, but I did it for her. And then I asked her, I said, hey, is this accurate? Because a year ago, like, things were really wonky. It was, I remember mine was giving me all these positions. It said I was Vice President of Marketing for Analog Devices, never worked there. It said I was at Tektronix, never worked there. So that was interesting. But Jessica said this was pretty accurate. And what I found interesting on hers, this was 3 paragraphs. So this is actually quite long compared to just I'll say an average professional that you may look at. So hers is longer, it has more sources, and that indicates to me that she's put herself out there, right? You can see articles cited, Buzzsprout is cited, that's a podcasting hosting platform, so she's been on a podcast, and we'll see that in just a minute reflected. So here's some of Jessica's posts, and similar, you see herself and in a lot of these photos. So she's very personal in her post. Again, it's not just in that middle one, I'm going to an event, but here's why I'm excited about the event and all the things that we are going to learn or did learn. I don't remember, my font's really small here, but just a great job recognizing partners. So she's not just like, hey, we just launched a new product. Hey, we're going to a trade show, go look at it. She's really being thoughtful about this. Also, I mentioned she was on a podcast recently. She was on the We podcast, and then authored several articles. So would you mind giving us a little insight into your LinkedIn strategy and how you create all of this content when you're busy running a sales organization for the Americas?
Yeah, you definitely have to kind of take time and put it on the calendar to make it happen. But I always try to have an objective when I'm making a post. So I'm trying to highlight some goal that I was trying to accomplish, kind of describing how I'm driving my team forward, or I'm trying to position Harwin as, the connector supplier of choice for, say, the space market, or that's our space article up there. But I try to personalize it, yet remain professional at the same time. And that's just to help people get to know me, so that I can kind of brand myself while also branding my company at the same time. And then I always like to highlight organizations that I believe in and that I think bring value to the industry. So I'm always posting about women in electronics as well. And I try to leverage other people's networks. So I'll tag in people that I've met with. I'll tag in other organizations along the way, so I can try to increase the number of views that I get on my posts.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a precursor to section 3. Good. Okay, so you've seen some examples of how to get out there. We've already talked about defining your personal brand a bit. Now let's kind of get one layer deeper and get you guys going on LinkedIn. And I thought we might start with your LinkedIn profile. So how many of you have updated, forget posts, just how many of you have updated your profile in the last 3 months? Wow, okay, kudos. I did not expect it to be that high. That's awesome. Okay, well, for those of you that haven't, the bar is high. You need to keep it current, obviously. I wanted to show you some best practices in what your LinkedIn profile should look like. And does this person look familiar? She's still here back there. So Kelly kicks ass when it comes to LinkedIn and her profile. And so I couldn't think of a better example than yours. So well done. From her personalized URL at the top, she has this well-lit photo. And okay, can we just pause and appreciate her color palette? Do you see it? Look at her pink dress, her pink and turquoise. Isn't that awesome? I mean, it's so memorable. And I love that you did that. That's part of your personal brand, right? How long have you had this color, this thematic color thing going?
It was in 2020 when I had to kind of reinvent my business in COVID. I sat down and did some of the personal branding work you just taught and picked a color palette. And that's pink and navy, pink and turquoise is the first thing that came up. Been that way ever since.
Yeah, love it. Headline with keywords. So this isn't her job title. It's tags. It's things she wants to be known for. So think out of the box. This doesn't need to be your literal title here. That's down below. This is what you lead with, your statement of who you are. The other thing that she did extremely well is leverage that banner. So I talked about how I liked the circuit board, but even more, man, she's got a whole ad up here. Practically, she has different logos of organizations that she's spoken with or where you've been published. And I'm not necessarily advocating that everybody needs to create an ad per se, but just know that that is like, that's real estate. Use that real estate to reinforce something that you want to share. The other thing she did was customize her contact information. So what do you want people to do? If you don't have your own personal website, that's okay. But just what should this say and how is it relevant to you? Okay, when we go a little bit deeper, you have an about section. And a lot of people make the mistake of having like 5 or 6 like chunky paragraphs here. Now, hers is longer than most people's, and that's okay. I know this is like your business development site and you're selling yourself, so there's a reason for that. But I like how you broke it up with lots of bullets and it wasn't just so dense. But maybe reconsider your about and make sure that it's something that people can skim and they want to engage with. Some people put really quirky, crazy stuff here, and other people more traditional. And I don't really have a stance on that other than just be authentic to who you are. I'm not like super quirky, so I don't have like quirky stuff there, but I appreciate the creativity that some people have on there. So you be you. Then below that, again, this featured section that I brought up earlier with Carla's, take advantage of this. You can put like 4, you see there's a scroll, it keeps going. So if you've been on a podcast, if you have authored an article, or if there's something your company has published that you think people should see, it's just great real estate. Okay, so we get a little deeper. You have licenses and certification, and have you published anything? Recommendation, awards and honors. So just be as complete as you feel comfortable being. And then make sure your profile is public. I can't imagine at this point that people are private with their profiles, but the whole point of LinkedIn is connecting with other people. So if you're gonna be on LinkedIn, like, be public. I get asked sometimes about chasing recommendations, and I'm kind of like, it depends. Like I could see probably for Kelly, it makes a lot of sense that she's a company of one, but for other people, I don't know. They're probably just going to talk to people they know that know you if they're trying to figure you out. So I go back and forth on recommendations. Anybody have an opinion on that? Has it worked for them? Has anybody ever hired you because of the recommendations? Yes? Can you share your story? Oh, because you're a speaker. So yeah, it's kind of this like I'm my own brand versus I represent a company sort of demarcation for me, maybe a little bit. So, okay. So a couple other things I wanted to share. So My team recently did a LinkedIn webinar, and it was 2 of my marketing specialists, and they've been running a lot of experiments and going really deep on LinkedIn's algorithm, and they've discovered a few things. So this one I found really fascinating, and I don't know that it'll hold this way forever, but they found that, so to set this up, okay, on the right-hand side, you see a news feed. And you see so-and-so commented on so-and-so. So-and-so commented on that, commented. You don't see a lot of reposts. So the feeds are picking up comments more than they're picking up reposts, which is interesting. So you can run your own experiment, but you commenting on somebody else's post is more likely to get in a feed than you taking a post and sharing it. Now, I'm not saying don't share things, and definitely if you do share things, put your own point of view, but commenting right now seems to be in favor for some reason with the newsfeed algorithm. Who knows why? The second experiment, so you see 2 blog posts here, and one had a reshare, so the one with EE Tech had a reshare, and the one with Gray Solutions had a bunch of comments. And I think the Gray Solutions one had something like 1,200 impressions, and the EE Tech one had 300 impressions. So performed much better because it had all these comments. So there's some validity to that. Okay, here's another weird one. Obviously, when we post, we often want to drive traffic to our website. But LinkedIn doesn't want that. They want you to stay on LinkedIn. And so the hack for this is to put the link in the comments. And so you're still enticing LinkedIn to, put this post in front of more people, but you are asking your reader to work just a little bit harder to find that link. We've been testing this out on clients. It's working really well, putting the link below. Sometimes I'll put emoji like little, that look below, little hands and stuff. So that's been an interesting one. Another one is long form versus short form content. So the inbound marketing, like the way it used to be was, let's go back to Allison's articles. It used to be you'd put a couple sentences and then you'd say, go to our website to read the full blog post. And you'd be promoting that blog post on LinkedIn. Well, now LinkedIn wants to see long form content and you putting that educational resource on LinkedIn like she was doing. So that's something to think about. It takes more time. And then when you're writing a longer post, don't forget that it's not all going to show up. It's the first 200 characters. So I was a journalism major and they would teach us about the lead. And the lead, what that used to be is like newspaper, right? Like they would cut off your article depending on how much space they had in the literal newspaper. And so you'd start with the lead and then you would prioritize the content as you went down. So the lead is still really important. And so you need to kind of think about that as you're posting these longer articles. And then collaboration. So LinkedIn offers something that's similar to some other platforms like Forbes Council where you can answer questions. So they'll put some questions out there, you can answer them, and you can be included in LinkedIn-driven articles. So this is something, if you're in HR, for instance, they're looking for HR experts to comment on HR subjects. And it's a way, again, to build your authority. It's cool, but it's a little bit tangential to our industry. So you need to decide, do I want to spend time there? Does it make sense for me to devote time there versus something else? So a couple of LinkedIn tips there. Just to wrap up here, some content guidelines, share things that are public, share your company's content, don't share confidential stuff. And in light of tonight's debate, I kind of steer away from political stuff. I don't think it's a good idea. So you be you and authentically you, but that could be really polarizing, right? So maybe not a good idea for your professional LinkedIn. Another one, here's one on sharing content, which I love. Like, make sure you actually read the full article before you share it, if you're sharing other people's stuff. Or make sure you're sharing from a person or organization that you actually think should represent your brand. Because if I'm taking from this organization and sharing their content and they're like not a good organization, I've just associated my brand with them, whether that's a person or an organization. So, You know, it's kind of like your mama said, like surround yourself with good people and be maybe picky about who you associate with. Well, gosh, it's so easy to hit that share button, but really be thoughtful about what you share, who you're sharing it from, and guard your reputation a little bit. Hashtags, we all know hashtags are out there. There was like a time where it was like funny hashtags, right? Like hashtag mom says, I don't know. Mom says knock you out. I don't know, whatever. You know, you don't see the funny ones quite as often. I think that time has come and gone. But hashtags still have a purpose, particularly at gatherings like this. At trade shows, people use them, people search on them, they want to find each other. So don't forget to include the hashtag. What's the hashtag for this event? We United? Yes, hashtag We United. So when you all do your one post or multiple posts from this event, hashtag We United, and that way, and then you can search on hashtag We United, and we can all find each other's posts and like them and amplify them with our own voices on each other's community. And then imagine how many people we can reach. It's pretty powerful. Okay, wrapping up here. So if I've made your head spin, I'm sorry. I want to give you one more helpful slide for those of you that are like, and I remember Carla saying, it's just me. Like, I don't have a marketing department doing this. I don't have any support. It is just me. I said, Carla, I get you. Here's your getting started in different phases. And I don't mean to mean that you're just getting started, because you're well beyond that. But if you are just getting started, try to commit yourself to 2 LinkedIn posts a month. You already got one this week, man. Yeah, but how easy? And then comment on, let's say, 4 posts a month, and a really thoughtful comment, okay? And then maybe, if you're feeling brave, once a quarter, create a video. Okay, what's a good hack for this? Get on a Zoom and just share something for 2 minutes or 30 seconds, or grab a colleague and talk about something. Videos perform really well on LinkedIn, and they give you a sense of personality. So don't be afraid of a video camera. Don't do it. And it doesn't have to be highly produced. In fact, hey, bonus points, why don't we all do a video while we're at this event? Why not? 30 seconds. Grab someone, do a video. If you need a buddy, I'll do it with you. I'm not scared. And then maybe identify 1 to 2 partners that you could collaborate with. So Jessica mentioned she likes to tag other people and other companies so that she can get in front of their communities. So think of 1 or 2 complementary brands, companies, people that you could collaborate with. Why don't we add this to your list and make a goal of doing a post with them? Having a joint proposition or tagging them in something. What people don't want, though, don't do that annoying thing where you do this post and then you say, what do you think? And then you tag 10 people, because that's, oh, yuck. You just created work for me. Like, I don't want to be the ass that ignores you, but I don't really want to interact with your post. You just want to get in front of my community. Anyway, don't be that person. And then, as you could see, you could step it up. So my wish for Carla, if time was no object, is that you would move into maybe doing an email newsletter on LinkedIn, maybe write an article, and she may be like, I don't have the time, I have enough customers, and that's fine. But that would be a progression of where you could go with it. So, okay. I had a lot here. Any questions or things that have worked well that you would like to share with the group? Yes. And she's got a mic. Wait. Mic moment.
I would love your perspective for those of us that are not owners of our own company or speakers promoting our own product.
Yeah.
What you would advise for balance between content of things that we personally believe in and want to back and support versus company-driven content. There's a fine balance because a lot of us are here because of our employers and also personally. For me, there's not a ton of overlap between like gardening and my kids.
Yeah.
And also come buy software and advertising from us.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question. So is gardening, is that literally your other business? Or were you
No,
using
just
that
a
as an
hobby.
example?
Like personally, the things that I love my job and I love my team.
Yeah.
but I don't know that I wake up in the morning and I'm like, this is what I was born for.
Yes. Right. So I look at LinkedIn in particular as your professional social media first, right? With a little bit of personal mixed in. And that seems to be what works well. Jordan, how many of you know Jordan previously from Knowles? She's a little bit out of our. Jordan was an interesting example of, she had a side podcast on dating, and all the stuff. And you would go, and her LinkedIn was interesting because it would be like Knowles white paper, Knowles this, and then dating fails, and and everybody she had such a following and big personality, it worked for her, but it was a little bit jarring. So I think you need to choose each platform and curate and really think about who you are and who your audience is that you're bringing in to your community and what you're saying. So, yeah.
That's super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Anybody else? Yes. Back here. Getting her steps in.
Okay. What advice would you give to those that do not want to use social media and have no interest in posting anything?
Yeah. Hey, that's very real question. Hey, I love that. She's like, can I just take a nap during your presentation? That's fine. There are different roles in the company and different reasons for personal brand, and no one is saying you have to go do that. I'm guessing you're not in sales, right? So if you were, you could see where LinkedIn is really important to that position. But what do?
I'm an optical test engineer.
Okay, so there you go. So your personal brand is different. So I think having your profile show that you're credible, that you're competent, that you're technical, those are all good things, but do you need to share? Are you the subject matter for your company? Subject matter expert?
For certain topics.
Okay. Internally or externally?
Internally, I'm affiliated with a university as well. I do my own research.
Okay. Do you have to publish as part of that? Just curious.
I do.
I hear content. So, it comes back to that beginning, right? What is your purpose? What are your goals for personal branding? And so, is it helping people understand something? Would it help your company and thus your career if you publish some of your work? It might. Do you need to have the frequency that, a business owner does or salesperson? No. So you're right. I was, gauging this more towards that audience, but it's a good question. So just think about your career and how it would help you. Yep. Yes. No, right next to her.
So my question is, when, for example, my hairdresser went on LinkedIn because she wants to grow her business, right?
Yes.
And she sends me a LinkedIn request. Well, I'm in semiconductors. I look at my LinkedIn as the only professional place that I want to be.
Yeah.
So when I didn't accept her LinkedIn invite and I went to see her the other day,
Awkward.
I thought, oh my God, she's going to turn my hair green. But where do you cross? There is a line to be crossed because you can offend or hurt people.
Yes. I would also argue LinkedIn for hairdressing probably isn't the best platform for her, but that's for her to decide. Listen, there's different ways of managing contact. Some people are very inclusive and they'll say yes to anyone. Some people say, if I know you or know someone of someone, I'll probably say yes. So you need to ask yourself, is there harm in saying yes? Are people going to somehow think of you differently if a hairdresser was in your connections? I would say no. So maybe you say yes, as a courtesy to her, but you're not going to look at her feed. It might be a good balance there. I would say on that note, though, accepting people you don't know. I did that once, and it was a scammer that used my name to get to other people, and it was a whole big mess. So it hasn't happened often to me, but that's a real thing out there. So anyway, I'm sorry. That's an awkward situation. It's a little bit of a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, over here. How am I on time? Okay. Good.
Okay, so when it comes to either LinkedIn or other social media platforms, and I do have some non-professional, again, non-work related things on other platforms,
Yeah.
I find I come across this fear of not coming across genuine because there's so much fake genuine content out there that are trying to hook you.
Yeah.
And that might be just me over doubting or, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that? And how do you get over that? Whether that be for LinkedIn, for Facebook,
Yeah.
TikTok, X.
Yeah.
whatever.
Just try to bring your authentic self. I mean, it's really over time hard to fake who you are, good or bad. I'm going to have a weird Texas accent, I can't, I think people are going to see the real you over time, especially if you're consistently posting. So I think we're all in a little bit of trouble with generative AI and what people are going to do with that. And, fake versions of themselves that truly aren't authentic. And hopefully there's enough in person and people, check that agency or whoever it is to ferret out the real people from the fake. But it's part of the world we live in now. It's a weird time, isn't it? Yeah. Yes.
I have a question and a confession. So I have started to use ChatGPT as a tool for making things sound so much better, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, what I find is I'll write it, put it in ChatGPT, and I'm like, oh, that's much better. And then I cut and paste from ChatGPT.
Yes.
Do they know that I've taken it from that?
So social posts, no,
Okay.
and what will happen over time is you're going to have trouble replicating. If you're doing, something real fast like that, like you write it, have it, clean it up, and do it. Well, the next time, if you say regenerate 5 times, you should look at how different those 5 things are. And that's how disjointed you may sound if you continue to do it in that sort of shortcut way. So that's where I go back to. If you're going to use it, do it intentionally and really train it. For longer form content, it's not copyrighted. So if ChatGPT wrote it and not you, you don't own that content, and like that other agency could have stole my ChatGPT blog and had every right to do it, and they wouldn't be talking to my attorney right now. So, you guys need to think about ChatGPT as a brainstorming tool, as a helpful tool, but, ultimately you want to still be you. So it's okay. We're all experimenting with it and figuring it all out. So, yes.
Okay, I have a question. Well, a best practice question. I cannot stand it when people try to friend you and then they want to sell you something.
Oh,
like
God,
they
it's the worst.
immediately, and I delete
Yes.
them. And I'm one of these people. I delete people from my LinkedIn. If
Me too.
I don't accept just anybody. You
Yeah.
have to be credible and part of, but
Yeah.
that's just how I am. I know everybody's different. But what do you think about that? I'm getting it a ton. And
I
somebody
know.
that might seem credible. And
Okay. I figured this out. So recently I upgraded to LinkedIn Navigator, and I didn't know how to use it, and I was really late to the game. Probably you all are all using it, you in sales. Anyway, and I went to these trainings, and it said, okay, when you could try to connect with someone, don't say anything, don't put a comment, just connect. Because even if they're not interested in your services, which you're gonna pitch right away, they'll now see all your updates. And so that's the best practice that's being encouraged, is that you wait until the connection happens, then you send your pitch, and then you tell them, if you're not interested, it's okay, just let me know. Because you have like 50 in-mails, and you get the in-mail credit back if they respond. So if you don't respond, they'll burn their credit, and then you get rid of them, in your network. So I'm with you. I hate that. I find it really annoying. It's just a game. It's a numbers game. Yeah.
I have something I'd like your thoughts on and building on your question and her question. So for those of us who are professionals who are in more operational space, I'm an attorney. If you, my colleagues in this room, talk to me, it's because something became elevated to my level and you don't want to talk to me.
Right.
So when I do my LinkedIn, I think about it in two ways. One is I absolutely love my job and I don't want to leave, but someday I'm going to retire and I want to move into consulting and doing what I do now, but on a smaller basis. So I think about what would build that. I think about what would build my company so people think, oh, there's a lawyer there who is knowledgeable, trustworthy, credible.
Yeah.
But I also think about, again, love my company, don't want to leave. When I was at my old job, I knew I wanted to leave. And so I was building my brand and I got interviews through LinkedIn. So what are your thoughts on if you're operational or maybe you're not really representing your company other than being a good representative of them?
Yeah. So being a representative of the company and being authentic to who you are as a professional can happen together, right? Your company is an excuse for you to show off your expertise and your skills. So you can think of that duality. And not every post needs to be about your company, but I think it is, you need to be hyper aware that you are representing your company at that time, right? So it's all balanced. And thank you for your time today.